All right, it's rendering now. We got
Okay.
this. And then let me get all my things prepared on my end. Okay, we are live. And then get this here. All right, here we go. So, how do you close $500,000 at LinkedIn? Let's go. Hold on. Hey, what's up, everybody? Zen here with ClosedWon. Welcome to the Sales Power Hour edition. Today, we have Michelle Johnson joining us, and we will cover 3 tips. Number 1, how to stay hungry even after being in sales for 30 years. Number 2, how to overcome pricing objections. And number 3, how to close a $500,000 contract at LinkedIn. So please help me welcome Michelle Johnson.
Woo! Jen, I love you. Thank you for having me. You know I'm your
I'm
biggest fan, right?
Aw, that's so sweet. You know that you're definitely someone I've been following for a very long time. I mean, we've been working together since PandaDoc, and ever since then, I've seen your trajectory from
Mm,
LinkedIn, Headspace, and now G2. So you're definitely working with all of the juggernaut brands. These guys are unstoppable. I mean,
yeah,
they're humongous, and
yeah,
we definitely want to learn your journey. So please
yeah.
help us understand, like, who's Michelle and how did you come to be such a badass?
So badass. Woo. So first, I think, I was thinking about it last night and just the journey. Like 30 years is a long time. And people would say to me, family, friends, cocktail hours, I'd meet people networking. They'd say, why are you in sales? Like, what is
Mm,
it about sales that like energizes you? Like you've been so long and like, aren't you burnt out? Like the people saying no to you, or like, I could never do that. And to answer the question is, it's just part of who I am. My mother's side of the family are all entrepreneurs, are all salespeople. And so I think I had it in my DNA. And then along the way, I started to learn process and techniques, and I got coached and groomed to, be just an authentic, connected, passionate salesperson. Like I'm curious all the time. And one of the first sales jobs I had, it's like I tell my kids and they can't believe it because like no one goes door to door anymore. But
mm,
I had landed a job, my first sales job with MCI. And I went in, I didn't have any like computer, cell phone. I just went into the library and I figured out what is MCI sell. And so then I went into the manager and I said, I'm hungry. I'm personable. I'm, committed. I'm passionate. Like, give me a chance. And he did. And so my telecom career, was with them for many years. Had some great experiences, great, just talking to strangers, and then got recruited by AT&T, had some great experiences with them and training, and then went to cable and wireless. And then I was like, I'm out. It was like the only time that people wanted to see me is to know what I look like. It was, with deregulation of that industry, like there were so many resellers and people
mm.
knocking on doors like me. And so, I wanted to like in sales, you have to know what lights you up. And sometimes you have to just take trial and error. So telecom was not my lifelong dream of career. So I went into the legal side, and I was recruited by someone that I got picked up at a bar. Uh, and he wanted me to. I was in Connecticut. And he wanted me to work for him, and it was doing document productions for legal teams, corporate counsel. So I had a pager for 24 hours. I was like, getting paged in the middle of the night on big projects that I was doing with US Tobacco, with a huge litigation there. I had, GE, and like I would just walk the halls and just get to know people. I was a magnet. And I think that's, as a seller, if you have the passion for what you do and you know why you're doing it, you become this magnet. And so you don't have to work so hard to try to make something happen. It just happens naturally. And so, yeah, you know, in that particular case, I still loved legal and wanted to be in it. So I went and got recruited to represent judges and attorneys that were on the bench, arbitration litigation. It was super boring. But it was in New York City. I was talking to like the largest firms. I was going to cocktail hours. I was like, making things happen, making it rain. But then realized like, this is not really who I am. I do want to help people like get through their outcomes, but on their cases, but it was really just wasn't my passion. So I had gotten into a role in New York doing conferences, and that's where I lit up. And I was like, yes, this is me. And I was selling butts and seats, as we called it in the industry, where I was just dialing CIOs and saying, hey, do you want to pay $4,000 to attend my conference? And then I went into sponsorship sales, getting vendors like IBM and so on to sponsor our conferences. And then it landed me a job in Gartner. So I stayed in that segment, right, in conferences for 5+ years, made a ton of money. And then I went out in my own venture and did my own jewelry design business, which was great because all of the goodness and the attraction, the I don't know what to call it. It led me to something more about Michelle and my passion and what I wanted to create. And, just unfortunately in 2002, no one wanted to spend $200 on a necklace. But I had great opportunities at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week and Saks Fifth Avenue. And like, I think again, it goes back to knowing who you are, why you matter, what do you bring to the table that no one else does? And for me, it's passion. And then fast forward, selling events. I went back into that after corporate, after I ran out of money, and got a job in San Francisco, moved from Connecticut to San Francisco to work for Ziff Davis. And then my husband at the event, he was a booth babe. He was wearing a body stocking.
Wow.
He was a booth babe. And I was like, this guy's really interesting. He's not a typical sales guy. He's like in contribution. He's sitting with these prospects, these high-end prospects, like getting to know them, like, and I'm like, yes, he gets that. And I want to know more about him and his values and who he was as a human. And so 15 years later, we just celebrated.
So you used your skills on him too, huh?
Yeah, he did on me first, and then and then he was like, but I wasn't biting until the third call. He said, I want to take you out because you're my type. So
Aw.
3 kids later and 3 dogs. We're married.
Amazing. That is amazing. From litigation to conference to jewelry to finding the man of your life. Real quick. So did you do you know who Carol is and Lynn, I think?
Yes.
Because they're trying to enter the actual interview itself. Did you happen to share the eCam link versus the YouTube
I did
link?
not. I didn't. I think I sent
They
this
were-
one.
Yeah, they were knocking on the door several times, and I'm trying to let them in, but I don't want to let them into this actual interview
Yeah.
because they're gonna pop up live. So
Yeah.
there is a YouTube link that
Okay.
you can share, and that is found here. Let me share it. I'm not sure. I think I have your. I'm gonna share it to your email so you could reshare it just in case. And here we go. Yeah, your friends are all your friends are blowing up our
Yeah.
our
Sorry about
eCam.
that.
No worries. I'm gonna tell her right now. Hey, Lynn.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, Lynn. This is actually the interview room. This is the green room, so you're entering from the back end. If you want to watch the show, it's live. We are on YouTube, and
Oh,
Michelle's gonna.
okay.
I'm gonna send it to you right now. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's awesome. Yeah, Carol also jumped in. Um, and so I want to make sure that they see the show. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your journey. So my question to you, and what we all want to know, is how do you stay hungry? Like, what are the
Mhm.
three tips that keep you hungry? You've shared two, I think, which is curiosity and having that passion.
Yeah.
If you could break it down into actionable steps that someone like me, I've been in the industry for 10, almost like 15 years actually, but
Hmm.
I do get burnt out. I feel the pain of like saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And so, how do you keep that enthusiasm to just keep going and going, like, and going?
So the first, I think the curiosity is there's two parts to it. One is curious about their industry, curious about, each client I'm going to talk to, I spend at least a good hour ahead of time to like really understand like what's happening in the world. Have they received funding? Are they growing their company? So I'll look on LinkedIn to see, are they growing in a specific area? If they're growing in sales, that means that, there's huge growth opportunity. If they're growing in customer success, they're getting onboarding a lot of customers. And what I'd like to do is like then prompt it back to, really show me you know me. So when I do have those conversations, that I've taken the time to ask thoughtful questions. And the questions of curiosity stand in two buckets. One is I'm curious about you as a human and how I can be in contribution to you. So that fills my bucket every time. And then the
Mm.
second is that the trust factor is then this is what I understand. What's happening in your world that's really preventing you from being successful? Or what's working really well so we can celebrate that. And that's my curiosity. And that's what keeps me going. And I was talking with, and spent some time with Anna Marino. He is a best-selling author, and he was my coach for a little bit. And his whole idea of value is trade time for value. So always
Mm.
have something. Don't try to. I've done the fake it to make it and showing up to calls and like asking silly questions that burn up all of our time, and then it gets to the point where we don't really have anything of value that I've traded, and I've basically wasted both of our times. So I try to like that can burn people out because then it's like I'm getting rejection. Well, you're not spending any energy in showing the person that you care. Show me you care. So I would say that's what keeps me going because there's so much going on in this world.
Oh yeah. I do agree with you there because like asking questions about industry and their role and their title, and
Yeah.
it does get pretty banal. You're just like, oh, well, I
Mm.
actually already know your industry.
Yeah.
But when you get curious about the other person, like yesterday, I was on a call, and all of a sudden we started talking about Cherokee, um, Cherokee, and I was talking about the Hawaiian language, and we got deep into like curses and myths. And that call was
Hmm.
so much fun because it wasn't
Hmm.
actually about the product; it was more about of like what matters to us. But
Yeah.
I know that person's gonna be more interested in the product that we're selling because of that connection that we've made, which meant so much more to me. And now I remember it so much more because of the conversation that we've had. It was more meaningful. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, that's what it's about. It's if you have authentic connection, like true authentic connection, because sales. I mean, when you say sales, it just feels dirty.
yeah.
And so what I've been trying to change is this idea of sales is not dirty. It's actually because dirty becomes it's about you and not about me. That's the stigma. Versus that's why I start with the authenticity about knowing about you. Now, I'll have some CMOs or VPs or leaders that'll get on the phone that don't want to have any small talk. They just want to get down to business. And I'm happy to pivot there too. But I'm always trying to find some little nugget of curiosity that I can add in there that will have them lean in and say, wow, she did her research. She knows a little bit about me, that, she's taken that extra step, and we may have a few minutes at the end to then create that connection.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. How do you overcome, for instance, a pricing objection then? Like, this is very common. It happens a lot. I feel
Yeah.
like it's just something people bring up, but I want to know from your perspective, like, what are some ways you overcome pricing objection? What do you do?
So the first thing is, I'm going through this right now actually with a client, and I know if I were to replay the conversations that we have had, and I'm dealing with their procurement, so there's that, is that I have not, my champion and my executive sponsor do not see the value. I have not done my job. So pricing is, it's not about the pricing, it's about, did you make connection, authentic connection, and did you articulate the vision, the joint vision? Did you co-create a joint vision? If you didn't, and it was just a good call, then you have work to do, and that it will be a commodity. It will be a pricing discussion. I think it's just in finding out where the pain is.
Yep.
Everybody has pain, and if they trust you enough to say, yeah, that's because it's about telling good stories too, is to find where the pain is, to say you're not alone, there's others like you. Here's some examples. Does this resonate? So really just getting them to lean in on, sorry, I have a puppy and a little one here. So this is my show. This is what happens when
Yeah, no, I'm the
I all wanna be
exact
a part
same
of it.
way. I have
Okay.
puppies as well, so they'll jump on me sometimes. But again, this is a real live stream, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have an imperfect video. But I hope the content is good, and you guys are seeing some nuggets today that you can apply. I really want to say hello to our audience right now because we have a few folks saying hello from YouTube. So hello, Shar, Kobe, Antoinette, and Seriously Studios. Hello, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions for Michelle, feel free to ask them in here, okay? All right. So there's one story that like I just remembered. We were at Panda Doc, we just met and we were vibing, right? And you taught me something that I use until today. Michelle, I just want you to know this. I use this today. And whenever I do get a pricing objection, I always use your line. Imagine this, right?
Yes. Picture this. Yes. You have to enroll them in the vision. If you don't have a vision, you don't have a sale.
That's right. If they don't believe in the
Imagine this.
vision, imagine
Yes.
this. I remember we were at lunch, we were eating, and I was like, Michelle, I have this objection, I need help, and you're like, Zen, imagine this, and you did this. You literally went like this, and I was like, like a little girl. I'm like, oh, what am I imagining? What am I imagining?
Yes. It gets people to lean in. I had a boss once that told me to whisper.
Oh,
That was another way to get people.
I love that technique.
Yeah.
I love it
Yeah.
so much. It's so powerful. Tell me something.
I'm just so thrilled to be part of this. And let me tell you, you are incredible. I see you.
Oh my God, see that like paradigm shift? I mean, that is it. Like someone says, hey, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. And then change
tell
the
you more.
paradigm.
Picture
Let me
this.
tell you more. Yeah.
Picture this.
Crazy. It also works in real life too. I mean, it doesn't have to be just, pricing. A lot of these objections, they're questions, really. They're inquiring. They're trying to assess what it is. They're trying to figure out what they are uncertain about. They don't even know it yet. And so we have to try to teach them.
Yes. And so one of the things that I recently underwent was a coaching program called Atlas Project.
I love that
And
word. Okay.
oh my God. So we, we've always been taught, if anyone who's done sales training, you look at personas like you've got, your analyzer, you've got your promoter, you've got, your supporter, you've got, so you have people that you can tell in the first few minutes, either talking on the phone or seeing them on video, that, okay, so this person's the analyzer, so I need to be really crisp about the value and like the outcome that they're going to get through the value and tie it back. So I have to be really just prepared. And sometimes I can tell on their LinkedIn profile, but that's how I get people to lean in. And then the other is, if I don't really know, I'll just listen to see if they're a promoter, they're going to be talking about themselves a lot. They're going to be, talking about what's in it for me and da-da-da. And so then I'll start to like have them come up with the ideas and sell it back to me.
Oh, tell me more. How do you do this?
So
Mind
you do it
trick.
based on, if this is what I'm thinking. I don't know. I could be way off base. What do you think? And then I let them to replay it back to me. Well, this is what I think. And if they replay it back and if it's spot on, then I say you're hired because I think we can help you. And then they go, oh, okay. So what's my comp? And I said, no, it's free. This is all, we are now on the same team and we get to work together on this and make dreams happen. So I like to have fun with it, but I also do like to look at who am I dealing with. So I'm really clear, because not one pitch is going to work with everyone. And I frankly hate narratives.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says, this is your narrative, go, I'm like, oh God. And it takes me a bit. I'm not going to lie, because it's not who I am. I'm intuitive enough to know what questions to ask to get you to lean in. And I'll do the research to show the value of taking time with me. But that's always been a struggle. Like, you need to say this. Well, not necessarily. I can still translate it if I can get to their common core of their vision of what they're trying to accomplish personally and professionally. I think I can get them to.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one. They will have those whys professionally and personally.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. For instance, there are some folks who are tasked to purchase a software. They probably don't want to do it, but the minute you say, "Hey, look, I've actually helped other people do this, and they got promoted from connecting, let's say, PandaDoc," oh, their mindset changes because it's the truth. Like, you connect your company into a platform that allows you to close more deals. Who's going to be responsible for all those wins? The person who made the decision. And so I see those folks getting promoted from manager to director, and it's very fulfilling. We have this question from LinkedIn, and I kind of want to share it with you. It's also around pricing objection as well. And the question is, okay, this one is, how do you work around prospects' objection around money? We covered that part, but making the investments in themselves. So this one is more about, she's a coach. I was hoping you could give us some tips on how to get people to invest in themselves. How would...
Invest in themselves. So we're talking about from a coaching perspective,
or like a consultant's perspective, right? And they're trying to teach you, or they have programs where you can overcome fear, or overcome failure, or be better with public speaking, things like that.
Yeah.
If you were talking to their clients, what would you say to that client when that client says it's too expensive?
First, I would try to understand, like, what does it cost to onboard that employee? And how, this is one of the things that I did with Headspace, because Headspace was a meditation app, consumer app. I was selling that. Like, companies like Wells Fargo and Starbucks was one of my biggest clients. Like, they're like, this is a nice to have. Yeah. Show me that this is actually going to help me convert to productivity and to revenue. And so I think it's coming down to really understanding, what is their why? What do they want? What do they really want? And then from there, helping them paint the vision of what it is. And so my contract, that this Atlas project I was telling you about, Lynn or Carol is part of it as well. She's part of my group. Is once you understand what you want, then you're able to then come up with what your contract is. Who are you? And mine was, what I wanted was to love myself, which I did not for many years, but I camouflaged it really well because I was successful, but deep inside I was not content. I kept trying to search outside myself for that. Fast forward, going into Atlas, that was, okay, so now I know that, name it. Now I'm going to say my contract is I'm a passionate, strong, responsible leader. It was really hard for me to say the responsible part because I am one that kind of has waffled a bit in my life on decisions and being responsible. So I wasn't believing that. So once you embody that truly who you are, and then my vision for the world is to connect community, create connection in community, like see the best in everyone, and to be in service to that person, that group. And it's not from a psychological always. It could be just getting them to lean in to learn something about themselves, or get them to take a chance, take a quantum leap, and make a change in their life that they never thought they could because of all the, what they learned, that, you're not good enough, you can't possibly do that, whatever feedback that they would get in their life leading up to that moment before that change was going to happen.
I'm seeing a lot of like motif with everything that you're saying. It's very like magnetic. Like I find myself leaning in, and I also find myself like drawn to what you're saying. I'm curious, how did you close $500,000 account at LinkedIn using these methods of like being magnetic and leaning in? And
so excited. And I had a chance to share this on the stage at LinkedIn, it was really, when you have a certain mindset about like being a magnet or manifesting in your life, it's not something you talk about in the workplace. It's not like, it would be strange. It'd be like, okay, how many calls did you make to get to that meeting, to that discovery, to the mutual success plan? For me, I was at a place where I just wanted to like blow out my number. And I was doing really well with, number of bigger clients that were doing pilots, and things were just moving along, but I just wanted that acceleration punch. And so I opened myself up and says, I'm ready. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready. I'm worthy. I'm ready. So then I wrote on a piece of paper, $500,000. I put it up on my cube, and then I put a list of customers that I wanted to target to make that happen. Now, that is controlling the outcome, which is I don't recommend. Although people say you got to work hard, to make number of dials in order to get that. Yes, probably. But if you visualize and you let it go, and but you're not passive, you're engaged, you're doing making the meetings happen, and having, getting people excited and enrolled in the vision of LinkedIn, which is what happened at TriNet. So I get a call from a colleague, and she said, "Hey, I just got off the line with a new head of HR, and they want to buy 500 licenses of LinkedIn Sales Navigator." And I said, I got scared. Like, I was like, what just happened? Is that a windfall? But it wasn't, because I was having conversations, and it was, what I didn't know until later is that I enrolled them in the vision, and they enrolled the CEO in the vision, and they wanted me at their sales kickoff. So that was a compelling event. And I remember when it happened, I looked at my colleague, Bill Morris, who I adore, and I said, "Bill, have you ever had $100,000 hit your bank account?" He goes, "Yeah, I just had one with Amazon. It feels good, doesn't it?" And I said, but it became this wordiness thing. Like, oh, this can't happen again. But it happened again and again and again. But it was because I wasn't tied to the results that allowed it to come to fruition, to magnetize, to come to me with work. And that's how I've lived my life, to be honest with you, is just being in contribution, being grateful and taking every day. I don't do it always, but just taking a few moments to see, I'm grateful for my colleagues. I'm grateful for my boss. I'm grateful for my kids. And then starting my day that way. So then I'm open.
Oh,
If you ever have a morning where you're just, everything's not working right, you just have to reset and shift and go, okay, I get it. I need to shift. So
how do you reset? So let's say you're having an awful morning. Things are not going your way. Traffic is worse today. Coffee is late. Coffee's the wrong order. How do you reset? Like your boss is on your butt. Like what do you do in that situation? What are some of the methods you can share with us?
So the first thing would be just like to acknowledge, because what's happening in your life is a mirror of where you are in that moment. And so when you recognize that moment, you go, oh, okay, nothing's really happening here for me. This is all happening to me. That was the Michelle before. All these things are happening to me. And what I realized when I stepped back and said, okay, what is my way of being right now to shift this? So instead of being annoyed, angry, I'm a victim, I would shift into abundance, of joy, I would just completely change it. And I would do it with just maybe putting on a song and just start singing, or maybe taking a moment and meditate, take some breaths like we did before we jumped on, just to ground myself and saying, okay, like you're right here, right now. You get this opportunity, so take it.
Yeah.
I'm not always perfect. It gets messy. My kids get messy. I get messy with them. I do have moments where I lose it. But I find that if I own it and name it and say, this is what was showing up for me when this happened, and, and shifting into what's possible for the day.
Okay, so to break that down, it's if things are going bad, acknowledge the situation, name
Mm-hmm.
it, put some kind of label to it, and then
Yeah.
shift from, oh, this is happening to me, to how, like, this is happening and I'm observing it. Like
Yes.
how would that shift like that?
Yes.
That's like meditation. Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
meditate.
And just seeing, saying, okay, I'm annoyed. Okay, great. So how do you shift out of that? Well, instead of annoyed, I want to be happy. Okay, so like, what makes you happy? Well, let's go take a walk outside in the woods where I can soak in, all of that is. And just, yeah, I think it's hard to check in that moment, but when you do and you take it as a practice every time, it makes a big difference in how you show up.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is a practice. This is a very difficult practice. This is the practice of mindsets,
Yeah.
right? Shifting your mind from one place to another. It takes time. Before I ask my last question, please help us learn or tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me under Michelle Johnson, 2 L's, 1. So you can look for my name there. Or my email is ml, as in Larry Johnson, 2708 at gmail.com.
Aw, we have a comment here. Oh, Anna, hello. We have Anna from Brazil. And then we have a comment from Antoinette. She's saying, MJ, you are so smooth and authentic. It truly is magnetic. I feel it here on YouTube right now. Wow. And
Thank you.
Kobe is sharing. Love this live. Everything starts with your mindset. Yes. So powerful. And so, my final question I ask everyone here is, of course, how does Michelle MJ close deals? How do you secure partnerships? That's what Josh
Yeah.
Gillespie told me to ask from now
Ooh,
on.
Josh. So I would say first thing is know how the decision process, who's making the decision. You're always going to have your champion, the one that's going to be like, yes, I'm willing to take this up the flag, or I am the VP and I'm willing to, take it to finance. one of the things I've been really successful is getting everyone, I say everyone, at least 10 or more people enrolled, if it's a larger company, in the vision, or having them help me paint the vision. So having a joint vision, having a mutual success plan of like what, when, where, and how. And one of my biggest, I think, wins was at LinkedIn with Honeywell. It was 5 divisions, very old school way of selling a solution sale or a social selling program, which to them thought their people would be on Instagram and not really doing any work, but they realized it was more of a, identifying and servicing people that they know within the organization, servicing all those great connections to get deals done quicker, get in before the RFP goes out. So it's about really having a mutual success plan that's agreed upon and have it signed off at the end. So it's not just a good conversation or getting people really excited and then going dark and then not knowing exactly what just happened. And just really keeping people accountable. And there have been times where I've invoked a little pain, like, well, what if we don't do this now? I mean, you said this is what you wanted to accomplish. If we delay this could mean like 3 steps forward or 10 steps back. And I don't want to see that happen to you. So it's really just doing a little bit of challenge, but doing it in a way that's not like, if you don't do this, you're going to be hit by a truck tomorrow. I know it. That's a little extreme, but, really giving them the sense like you were in their corner and, but really being diligent about like what that documented plan is.
Oh, so good. Just had to reiterate that it was a mutual action plan that Michelle uses to keep everyone in that committee accountable. So that's amazing. Stick around, say hi to our audience. They're on YouTube, and I think we're live on LinkedIn as well. I can't see LinkedIn right now, but if folks are on LinkedIn, we just want to say hello, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. Let me do a quick outro, and then stick around, okay? Let's see. I forgot how to switch. Oh, here we go. Okay, closers. Hey, long time no see. I hope you enjoyed this show. Imagine closing a $500,000 deal. In order to do that, she has gone through a 30-year journey from litigation to conferences to jewelry to finding her husband at Mercedes Fashion Week. It's quite a journey, and one thing we can learn from today is Michelle is very tenacious. She's very curious. That's her superpower, and most of all, she's a magnet, right? So I'm gonna break down the tips that she shared today. The first tip, number 1, be curious as a human being. Ask yourself, how can you contribute to what is working, and then how do you celebrate it with your prospect? Trade time for value. Tip number 2, lean in, be a magnet, find your compelling events. And if things don't go right, if things are going wrong, acknowledge it. It's okay, label it, name it, and then shift your mindset into your happy place. If you like this content and if you learned something new today, we had a lot of fun putting this together. Smash the boop, smash the like right there, and we look forward to seeing you again next week, Tuesday. Until next time. Bye, guys. All right. And there we go.
Bring that ass back like a boom, 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 boom.